Hi again, welcome to another everyday encouragement. Last time we looked at the first half of Ephesians 1 verse 11. So today we want to bring that in, but also finish off the verse. So Ephesians 1:11. In him, that's in Christ, we have obtained an inheritance, having been predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will. Now back in verse 5, Paul has already connected for us this theme of the sovereign predestining purposes of God and our being heirs with Christ. He said he predestined us for adoption as sons through Jesus Christ according to the purpose of his will. So Paul here picks up this exact same theme again, and he says we are heirs of God with Christ because he predestined us to be heirs according to the purposes of God. This is a great foundation for our assurance that our inheritance is not built on the unstable foundation of our own willing and our own working, but on the unshakable foundation of the eternal purposes of God the Father in Christ. And so we want to pick up here on this last part of verse 11 where it says, He, that's God, works all things according to the counsel of his will. It's just an incredible statement, and perhaps the clearest statement, the clearest picture of God's absolute sovereignty over every single thing in the created universe. Now I want to focus on three important aspects of what we find here. The first one is we find the foundational purpose of all the working of God in all things is the counsel of his will. He works all things according to the counsel of his will. So the action of God, the sovereignty of God is not arbitrary, it's not pointless. He doesn't act sovereignly in the world for just no reason, without cause. No, he does all things according to the counsel of his will. All things achieve the purposes of God. Listen to Isaiah chapter 46, verses 9 to 10. It says, I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I shall accomplish all of my purpose. What God has planned and purposes and purposed is what he does. Now secondly, we want to consider what is meant by all things. All things are according to the counsel of God. Well, in context, it refers specifically to the adoption of sinners as sons of God through Christ. We are heirs according to his working, according to his plan. But from the rest of the Bible, we see that all things refers to everything without exception. I just want to read a few verses here that show this. He's sovereign over where people live. Acts chapter 17, verse 26. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and boundaries of their dwelling place. He's sovereign over everything that we would consider random chance, like the rolling of a dice. Proverbs 16:33. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. He's sovereign over the decisions of men. Proverbs 16 verse 9, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. He's sovereign over the hearts of kings. Proverbs 21 verse 1, the king's heart is a stream of water in the hand of the Lord. He turns it wherever he will. Job 5 verse 10, he's sovereign over the weather. He gives rain on the earth and sends waters on the fields. He's also sovereign over the pouring out of his own mercy. Exodus 33:19. And I will be gracious on whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. He's sovereign over the ongoing existence of every single molecule in the universe. Hebrews 1 verse 3. He, this is Christ, he is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power. And he's sovereign even over the sinful actions of men. Acts 2 verse 23. this Jesus delivered up according to the definite plan and foreknowledge of God, you crucified and killed by the hands of lawless men. Now, we could go on, but the scriptures are clear. God is absolutely sovereign. Everything, every action, every molecule, without exception, is being worked by God according to the counsel of his will. So now, thirdly, we want to ask the question, why does Paul talk about that here? How does it fit in? When Paul said we are going, that we are those who have received an inheritance, why does he say that this inheritance is according to the one who works all things according to the counsel of his will? Why does God's sovereignty matter with our inheritance? It is because we need to understand that the purpose of every action of God is for the purpose of glorifying himself by giving his people that inheritance. For God to bring us into the full inheritance that awaits us in glory is not just a side project in creation. To glorify his name in justifying sinful men, making us heirs with Christ, is the purpose for which God created the universe and the purpose for his sovereignty over everything in the universe. Now we know this explicitly from Romans 8:28, where it says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Every act of God is purposed by God for the eternal good of his people, which is that they would receive the inheritance. This is a precious truth, because it means every so-called random event, every step of our lives, every decision of every governing authority on the planet, every season of rain or drought, every sickness, every suffering that comes from the sinful acts of others, all of these things are purposed by God and are specifically worked by God to secure and establish and guard our inheritance in Christ. That is amazing. It should be a strong comfort for us in times of trial. If you are in Christ, every detail of your life has been planned by God from before the foundation of the world to accomplish something specific in your life that will result in your future inheritance in glory. There are no exceptions to this. There are no rogue molecules in the universe that do not submit to the bidding of the Creator. And God in his sovereignty has determined to work all things to secure the inheritance of the people whom he loves. Isn't that astonishing? I hope it's also encouraging. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.